Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first ever Angry Twitch Man video. On this channel, I am a streamer on Twitch and a YouTuber, stuff like that. I do all that stuff, and I decided that everybody should know the drama slash the insight slash everything that there is to know about being a streamer, especially for the outside view. Today we're gonna be talking about a little smaller streamer, someone named Nathanias, because I myself was a StarCraft player. If you wonder who, I'll put my link to the description in the below. But if you are a StarCraft player, you probably already know my voice, so you know who this is anyways. But we're going to keep that a secret for now. Alright, so Nathanias, aka Nathaniel Fabricant, is a StarCraft 2 personality slash caster who's been streaming on Twitch for around 7 years. I myself, I loved his content and was subscribed to him for a long time, like 7-8 months. Last year in 2018, I met him at DreamHack Austin. We had a pretty friendly encounter. I thought he was a really nice guy, even in person. He's a good caster and desk host. There's no denying that. He is one of the main reasons I got into esports, but he is also a very whiny asshole. And he can be a total dick to people for no reason. So, the only thing I could criticize about him was that he banned people extremely quickly for stupid reasons on his stream. A lot of times that you would just see that someone said one thing out of line and they would be immediately banned. And I did not think that was a good way to run your channel as for any streamer or YouTuber or anything. That's just not the best way to do it. I get it's not a democracy, but I also don't agree with that, you know? I'm a Grandmaster in StarCraft 2. I tend to run into Nathanias a lot on the ladder, and he is literally a salt mountain. Like, this dude and a mountain of salt are synonymous, okay? He plays a very beatable style. He likes to play a lot of battlecruiser mech, and it's very easily counterable because it's not played against very often because it would be used if it was good, you know? But it's not, so. One day I was trying to learn Protoss. You know, right now in StarCraft, Protoss is a pretty good race. So this was a couple months ago. I was trying to learn Protoss, and I get him on the ladder, okay? I'm like 4,900 as my Protoss at the time, and he's like 5,300, okay? So that's like a pretty big difference. So I like, and, you know, I thought we were cool. Literally that day, I had donated money to him on his stream, and we were having like a nice conversation. And then so I got in the game, I was like, LOL. Didn't know how I got you. My Protoss is pretty shit tier, which I get how you could take that I was talking a lot because I do tend to talk a lot during games, but that's just how I was. I'm not really like that anymore, but it's just how I was, and it wasn't meant with any malicious and like, you know, contempt or anything, you know, like LOL, because I did end up winning the game, and he basically during the game he went for like a battlecruiser type macro style game, and I was just playing. I did my normal blink twilight opening fast third base stuff like that. I defended his BCs pretty easily with the blink stalkers, and then from there on I got 4 bases, 70 probes, 5 bases when I needed to, and I was ready to like put on a bunch of pressure. And he was on 3 bases, but so my goal was to knock down a 4th base. If you can keep a mech player off a 4th base in StarCraft 2, you're most likely going to win the game. So this is on Parasite LE, by the way. So there's 2 normal 4th base locations, one at like the 4 o'clock position and one at like the 6:30 position on like, yeah. So I went to the 4 o'clock position. I see he's building a planetary. I run my army into it because I'm using a gateway style army. I have better upgrades than him, so all my units are expendable and they're going to be cost effective no matter what. So I run in. I end up knocking down the planetary. I lose a bunch of my army, but I have like 17 gateways at this point, so I can just reinforce pretty well. I end up reinforcing and I start walking around. I have an observer to see if he starts pushing out on that side. He doesn't. And I'm like, okay, if I killed the base on that side, maybe he's going to be like, hey, it's not as easy to defend there. I'll try to take the other base. So I go around, and as soon as I go to attack that base, he's floating a command center over. I'm like, hey, that's like, what a fucking nice catch, you know? That's such a good catch for me in this game. That's probably going to put me back in a winning position because I know his army's superior if he gets to a critical mass. So I throw another army at it. I kill the base. I back up. I built a bunch of blink stalkers because I'm bad, and that's just, you know, a trade by me. And I start like trying to walk up in the middle because I know like on Parasite LE there's like a little middle high ground that goes into your natural, and I know that as a mech player, if you lose your 4th base twice, you have to send more to defend it, because as a mech player what you do is you spread out your defenses across all of your bases and you try to defend as best you can. So I knew that he was going to send more army to defend his 4th, and he was probably going to take the 4 o'clock base again. So I go through the middle towards his natural, and I end up going in there, and that ends up being the killing blow. Okay, the game's over. I'm like, oh, holy shit, I won the game. That's cool. I go into his stream immediately after that because, you know, he's streaming at the time. I'm not. So I go into his stream, And he's like, all I start hearing is him. He's talking about how the game was fishy, that he doesn't believe it. I'm a hacker. I'm a weirdo. Like, talking bad about like, oh, I'm some like small streamer. It doesn't mean anything. I'm just stream sniping him and hacking to get views. I say this with quotation marks because like, what the fuck, Omega lol, dude. I literally spent like $50. Like, why would I spend the $50 subbing you and donating you when I could have used that for my quote unquote hacks? But you know, whatever, bro. And he like, anytime we've had a Twitter interaction after that, anything like that, he's just been very rude and abrasive and just for no reason. Like, I don't think that a streamer should feel entitled for someone that like supports them, you know, to, if they're doing something bad, to not like call them out or anything. But all I did was beat him in a game of StarCraft 2, and he just decided to be a dick to me for no reason, which I think is very unsolicited and very unprofessional. And you could be like, well, hey, bro, a stream doesn't have to be professional. You are goddamn right. It does not have to be professional. But when you're doing it for your career and your job, it should probably have at least somewhat like a tiny bit of professionality to it, and in my opinion. And that's all this channel is going to be, is my opinion on people and things going on in the Twitch community. But anyways, yeah, I think his handling of the situation is very bad. It made me see him in a very bad light. Like, anytime I watch any of the old casts where the ones that got me into esports in the first place, like, it just drives me away from wanting to watch or do anything that involves StarCraft because he's up there casting now, and it's just, that whole interaction just made me not like him very much, if that makes any sense. And, yeah, there's not that much else to say. He just turns out he's just a dick. Like, it's hard to say, like, because I love this content. It's hard to go from like really liking someone's content and what they do to just being like, wow, what a fucking asshole. But I mean, I guess people change, and yeah, that's my opinion on that's the whole Nathanias situation. I wish he would, you know, come to his senses and stop being a dick to people. But the only people he seems to not be a dick to are the people that literally shove thousands of dollars down his throat. So anybody else, he's like always more abrasive and stuff towards them. So I don't know. He's more like a lenity than I thought. But yeah. Alright, boys, this is the first video that I'm going to be posting. I'm going to be posting another one. Multiple topics, stuff like streamer income, what happens, like drama in the streaming world, people whose opinions are wrong, people who are streaming for the wrong reasons, my opinion on girl streamers, things of that nature. So yeah, if you like all that stuff and you want to hear from an insider perspective, make sure you hit that sub button. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.